Welcome to Spotlight. I'm Terry Harrington. I'll be speaking with local author James Disser. Today's show is sponsored by Semco Energy Gas Company. Well, James, welcome to Spotlight.
Thank you.
How does a police officer become an author?
Well, I was fortunate to work in some environments that are really diverse, fast-paced, kind of a target-rich environment for stories. And over the years, I started out really enjoying listening to the officers that I worked with, the leaders and the older guys that I came up under. Listening to their stories was something that I really enjoyed. And before I knew it, I had some stories of my own to tell. Over the years, people seemed to enjoy them when I told them, so eventually I wrote them down.
So tell us about your new book that you've just published called Echoes in Eternity.
Echoes in Eternity, Street Cop Stories, is a collection of true crime stories from the Macomb County area and the Blue Water area. It's a book that really emphasizes teamwork, because I've discovered over the years that all the successes that I ever had were due to my teammates and the concerted effort that we put in together. So I really emphasize that. The book is not a collection of how many tickets I wrote people or something like that. It's not like that at all. It's much more human. It's oftentimes exciting. Sometimes it's sad. It's oftentimes brutally honest, but it's very relatable for people. And I think that they'll enjoy it for that reason.
Well, I think you made a key point too. You said that it's real human in nature, and everything you did obviously touched the human side of life.
Yeah, there's a lot of topics that I think people will find relevant to themselves. It starts with my development, in a fast-paced environment as a rookie, fresh out of the academy, didn't know anything, at all. But I quickly learned a lot of things through experience and through guidance. I had a lot of great leaders in my career. As the book progresses, it goes into some stories of my undercover narcotics days. I spent 3 years assigned to a team called Comet down in Macomb County. It's a state police concept unit that fights violence and violent crimes and narcotics. And so there's some good stories about that people I think will enjoy. And also, as my career progressed into St. Clair County and eventually an assignment to the Port Huron Major Crimes Unit, there are some stories that people may recognize from local headlines. There's some stories about human trafficking in our area that I think people will be very interested in. I wish more people knew about them, and hopefully they will now. They'll learn a little bit about that. There's some high-profile cases that I worked with MCU, including some homicides that happened during my assignment to Major Crimes Unit in Marysville and Port Huron. So people might recognize some of those from the headlines, and those are in the book.
Here we are in the summer, and obviously people are looking for some good reads, especially if they're sitting on the beach or at the dock or just taking some time off work. Is this one of those kind of books that would be a good summer read?
That's a great point. It really is, and I'll tell you why. It's because each chapter is a different story. Some of the chapters are 2.5 pages, some are 12 pages. But as you move through the book, you can put it down and pick it back up. Now, I've been told by a few people that it's hard to put down. That's a good thing. But you can, and it's episodic like that. Each chapter is a different story, so it's an easy read.
And some people probably recognize some names in there too, right?
They will. They absolutely will. I believe that some of the, and that's because I really wanted to, throughout the entire narrative, emphasize the good people who surrounded me, the success that we had as a team. And looking back on my life really to this point, I've always been part of good teams. I've been very fortunate in that regard, from high school football to the Major Crimes Unit. I've always been on great teams. Wasn't always a great player, especially as an athlete, but I had fun, and I was on some great teams all the way through, and I count myself very lucky in that regard.
What was your inspiration to write this?
Honestly, some of the tough stories, I'll be honest with you, I wanted to get them down on paper, and maybe they leave my mind sometimes. They swirl around my head a little bit sometimes, and I thought that it would be good therapy to write them down. That didn't really work the way that I thought it would, but it was a fun process. The first 10 chapters, I couldn't write fast enough. The second 10 were pretty smooth. The next 5, I kind of struggled. It was a little bit laborious, so I put it down for about 6 months and didn't write anything. And then I picked it back up and did one at a time until I was finished.
Great. So any future plans to do Echoes in Eternity Part 2 or anything like that at this point?
I definitely could. I had a list of stories that I was exploring and thinking about writing, and I got to a certain point, and I asked my friend, John Borkovich, who you know, when should I stop? And he said, well, how many words do you have? And I said, about 82,500 according to Microsoft Word. He says, you should probably stop. That's about 300 pages for a book this size. So to answer your question, yeah, there are a lot of stories left. What I thought I might do is develop a character, a fictional character, a detective, and inform that story with experiences that I've had personally. So that's my rough outline now.
So where is this book available?
This book is available on Amazon. It's very easy to find. You just type in Echoes in Eternity and it'll come right up. It's also available at my website, which is echoesbook.com. And through that site, of course, you have to pay for shipping, unlike Amazon. However, the copies will be personally signed. It's also available at barnesandnoble.com, walmart.com, and a few other online retailers.
Great. Well, I look forward to getting a chance to read through the book, and congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Appreciate it very much.
And we want to thank you for joining us on Spotlight.